Foundation 45 is a 501c3 nonprofit that funds counseling services for mental health, addiction, and suicide survivors. In addition to providing services, it works to break the stigma surrounding these topics. Foundation 45 recognizes that musicians, artists, and creative types are often at a higher risk for issues with mental health and addiction. The organization's goal is to serve the Dallas-Fort Worth creative community by providing free, top-tier mental health and recovery services. You can learn more about Foundation 45 at foundation45.org. Foundation 45. Live fast, die old. I'm Andrew Sherman. I'm a Texas transplant who has always been in pursuit of art as a career. I've played in bands, pursued an acting career in Hollywood, but I found it behind the lens of a camera here in Dallas, Texas. I was born in New York, I've lived in Chicago, Los Angeles, Austin, but I love Dallas. There's a magical artistic scene in Dallas that mostly goes unnoticed to the outside world. This podcast is focused on what makes it so special and the people who make it thrive artistically. If you don't live here, and even if you do, you might not have heard of them. This is the Dallas Famous Podcast. We take a very This week on the Dallas Famous Podcast, we have the return of power couples with one of my favorite couples, John and Kari LaRue. The LaRues are the owners of Deep Ellum Art Co, a Dallas venue that has become home to jam bands, EDM, Flow Moon, and Snarky Puppy even recorded their latest album there. Deep Ellum Art Co also features an active art wall that features some of Dallas's best established and up-and-coming artists. Art Co has a very special place in my heart because it's where I cut my teeth as a photographer, and I'm not the only artist that the LaRues have given an opportunity to. I love these two pieces, and I hope you enjoyed this chat. We are back with the Dallas Famous Podcast. I'm sitting in the lovely living room of Kari and John LaRue. I'm going to call you a power couple, partially because this like a bit, but also because you kind of are. So I know I knew you would react that way too.
we just said no laughing. And there you
I
go.
know. The first thing, laughing. But
oh well, first rule out the window.
It's kind of just, I was trying to think of something cute. I mean, I don't just, but
that is cute.
You're running a very cool, influential, important, fun venue in Dallas, and that's cool. So, we could start right there. Like, at what point were you like, you know what, let's just turn our lives on its side and drop everything we're doing and just get a club and run it?
Honey, what was the first moment when we realized we were a power couple?
Let's start with that.
Oh, wow.
Let's back up.
Goodness. Well, this is, I will say, for
you
the
derailed
record,
me with that one.
this is we are entering year 18?
What?
No.
How long we've been married?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, like this we'll celebrate our 18th anniversary this summer.
That in itself is an accomplishment.
Yes. That's powerful stuff.
Yeah,
that is very powerful. Yeah. You can't see a fist bump on the podcast.
All right, what was the question?
All right, let's start. We'll back up. So I know, John, you're from Dallas.
Yes.
Okay, so because of Dallas family, so I was asked that question. You are not from Dallas, though. Where are you from?
No, I'm from Liberty, Texas.
Where's that?
It's between Houston and Beaumont.
Okay.
And I'm only laughing because literally every time I tell this story, John is always there with the echo, Liberty. Anyway, shout out to L-Town.
Okay.
Yeah.
She said it with a T.
I don't get back
time.
much, but it's my roots, so.
Yeah, you said Liberty that time, like very deliberately.
I'm trying to enunciate. I know that's important on a podcast. I listen to a lot of them.
So
it's more Liberty.
See what I mean?
This is gonna be fun.
Thank you for proving my point.
Yeah. But my family's from Tyler, so like I grew up. My grandmother would say, "Welcome to Tyler."
Right.
You look hungry.
No, so is Liberty? It's a suburb of Houston. So
I don't know that suburb is the correct word for it.
By now, it practically is, though.
The highways they've built that you literally can get to Houston in under an hour now.
Right. But growing up didn't feel like that.
No. I mean, my parents, actually, both my parents and my brother all graduated from University of Houston, so I was there a lot.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's small. I'll say it's 10,000. I don't know the population, and that was always kind of generous. I don't know what it is currently, but it was a great place to grow up. I loved it.
Yeah. Now, here's a silly question, but what's the first thing you remember that you wanted to be when you grew up? Can you think of that?
oh, what do I want to be when I grew up?
Because I interview a lot of artists, so it's like really clear. It's like, well, like, when did you first discover playing music? So, but that's not what you guys are doing. So I'm curious.
No.
I mean, I know that owning a venue wasn't really.
No,
something.
never crossed my mind. Honestly, I probably would tell you I wanted to be on the stage rather than, provide a stage for people, which I've found is way more gratifying.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth. But I always joke, if, the whole sliding door idea or whatever, in my other life, I'm a star on Broadway. Maybe not even a star, just a backup, part of the core.
Right.
I'm not laughing at that. I just love the gestures that go along with all this. Y'all can't see the jazz hands.
You can't see all
Right.
of my...
You can't see the jazz hands.
But in your
anyway.
fantasy, you could be the star too.
So I danced. I started dancing at 3
okay.
years old. Shout out to Miss Becky. Love her to pieces. And I tap was my first love, and I really enjoyed that. And then I got to dance in a dance company in Beaumont called Beaumont Civic Ballet. Shout out to Miss Monique. They just celebrated their I don't even know what year that for Nutcracker, multiple 30-something seasons of Nutcracker.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, it was such a wonderful part of my cultural upbringing. It was so fun. And my mother was just, so kind and drove me literally 45 minutes each direction, like 5 days a week.
Wow.
So
It's I have cats too, so whenever you start recording, the cats jump in and take over.
They start interrupting as soon as they possibly
It's
can.
like they knew that they were not the center of attention.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was going to ask if you were picking up her wheezing, purring thing that she does right behind me on the
wasn't
sofa
hearing-
all the time.
Oh, yeah.
It's this like gentle. Sounds kind of like an asthmatic fat kid.
Oh, man.
Which she is. I mean, she's a little asthmatic. She's a little chunky.
Yeah.
But she's a good kitty.
Yeah, we have like Drew. We call him Big Chunk. And
Wait.
yeah, Drew. I know.
You have a cat named Drew.
Well, because I didn't name it. Like she had a cat named.
Oh,
Drew.
she had a cat named Drew.
Yeah,
That's right. I forgot that part of the equation.
Yeah.
I actually love that story even more now.
Right.
That when you introduced yourself, she's like, "No shit, I have a cat named."
Yeah, it's weird. I was like, her cat Drew will just sit on her lap, and then he leaves, and he comes back all afternoon. And when she's working at the office desk, anyway.
It's good to have a work buddy.
Yeah. Well, I'm the work buddy now, sort of.
and
kind of.
congratulations to you guys.
Thank you.
So excited for y'all.
Thank you.
Again, I will say, I'll throw that right back at you. Power couple.
Yeah, we're getting there.
The team. Hey, it's that you got to start somewhere.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's been fun. It's cool to be able to go, hey, do you like this band? Do you want to write a review? We'll get free tickets, which, it's funny. She's pickier than I am, so she's like says no a lot of the time.
Amazing writing is underrated, and we need more of it
Yeah.
everywhere.
Well,
And it seems so few and far between sometimes.
Yeah.
It really does.
well,
To your point of like, a good review on a concert, like, gosh, I mean, I feel like I've read a handful of, really great, and that come from you.
oh, come on. I am not.
No, it's true though. Like when you read something that's well written and thought went into, and you can appreciate the perspective of the author, and it's not just an index card, a 3x5 of, well, here's what happened today.
Right.
It translates.
Yeah,
For me, it translates to the experience. Whether I was there or not, I can feel like I was.
Right.
Or relive it.
Maybe we should delve into this more. I mean, you guys were teachers.
I was going to say, this is coming from two former teachers, so
Well,
we do appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, but I'm just like going back to your history, your bio. It's like you were teachers, but you love music. You love I know you play bass for fun. I mean, I don't know that you guys have ever perceived music other than just for fun, but there is a certain type of person that just appreciates a live show, and it's like you guys are champions of that. So where does that come from? Like, how did you find that for yourselves, maybe with each other?
Honestly, I just want to kind of throw this out there. Like, what's the first show we ever saw together? Let's let that marinate, because I honestly don't know that I've ever stopped to think about that.
That's when we went and saw Bob Schneider for.
Was that it?
Yeah, I think that was one of our first shows.
Okay.
And I'm so disappointed because he was just here, and we were out of town the night he played here. So I would have loved to
New
catch
Year's,
that.
I think, right?
It was just before like the
30th or
29.
29.
Yeah, because it was Granada. Shout out to Granada.
Yep.
Had a 29, 30, and 31 run, and we were out.
Right. Oh yeah, that's right. Because it was the heartburn.
Yes.
For outside. So. I took New Year's off this year. I just stayed home. We barely made it to midnight. We've become that couple.
It happens.
Yeah.
You know, especially when it's on a Sunday night. And I can relate to anybody who feels the same way. Because it's like, man, it's a Sunday night. You know I have to work this week, and how rowdy do I really want to be?
Yeah, exactly.
We've had in almost 18 or in 17 New Year's Eves, we've run the gamut of
wild
hanging at home with the children, or out and about painting the town.
Right. But I mean, okay, so I know, like, for me, when I met you guys and I was getting introduced to the bands you were bringing to Art Co, it felt like it was just like the Jam Cruise lineup, essentially.
Oh God, yeah.
How did you
if we
were
can,
lucky.
yeah, if we're lucky, man.
Right. Well, I'm trying to get to, like, okay, so you're teachers and you met, like, well, I mean, let's talk about that. Like, I know you didn't start off, like, you didn't, like, it wasn't love at first sight, was it?
Some would call it that.
We were actually, wow, how deep?
Interest, infatuation. I don't know.
We
We
were,
were both relationships, so it wasn't like,
okay.
you can't really like
Gotcha. Yeah.
explore.
and trying to
all your
keep things
options there.
professional, in the
Sure.
workplace. But yeah,
It was Rebby's fault, really. Our former boss's fault, really, because she's the one that was kind of like,
Mrs. Evans.
I just mentioned something casually in passing, and she's like, well, have you thought about all of your options? And, kind of looked down the hallway in this young lady's direction, and I was like, stop everything, close the door to your office, let's have a chat. She's like, well, I'm not telling you anything.
Right.
I just asked a question, like, have you thought
And at the
about all your
time-
options? She played it very cool.
I was teaching third grade at the time, and he was seventh and eighth grade. And I had a little reading nook in my room that had a little mini sofa or love seat thing.
Let's be clear. She had a sliding glass door that went outside into like this lovely little garden area right next to where the playground was. It was like one of the only places in that school that actually felt like a comfortable sanctuary for reading, let alone just sitting there and thinking, and just like, oh, you have a nice thing to look at out the window. It's not a parking lot. It's not pandemonium. And the scenery was beyond that was gorgeous as well. So I didn't mind. I asked if I could go down to her room and read and stay ahead of my classes because I was always assigning
teaching
novellas.
Oh,
and
wait,
whatnot.
Reading and language arts.
That was like you had a little.
I had an in.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
I had an in. Yeah.
yes, he had a
an-
cover.
Yeah, I had a
Yes.
cover.
Interesting. Were you how fast were you onto it?
Oh, I was super slow at first. It's just using his time wisely, which I appreciated.
Oh,
because
I
I'm
was.
terrible at that. Oh, he's using his planning period to read for his lessons. Anyway, and then it was kind of a slow come around for me. But yeah. And the
Yep.
rest is history,
Yep.
I guess, as you could say.
Right. And so that Bob Snyder concert, like how far into dating were you going to a show? Is that early on?
Oh,
or-
wow.
Month
Okay.
or so or less.
Probably. I mean, I feel like it was. I don't remember not going to shows.
Okay.
Is that a better way to put it?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it was just kind of part of
That was your thing,
Yes,
basically.
a part of
Yeah.
the a point of connection.
Yeah.
And discovering what I grew up with and enjoyed with him. He's got 3 big sisters who have amazing taste in music, and I know who definitely helped shape his original ideas of everything, really, and then kind of discovering like what we liked similarly, and then just all of the newness, of, oh, I've never heard of that, oh my God, that's so cool. And he's like, yeah, I've seen these, this act multiple times. And anyway, it just, it's always been central to the relationship and everything.
And we both love theater. Carrie
Yes.
Carrie is a big fan of musical theater, as am I, but Kari knows a lot more songs than I do, that's for sure. So it's been fun to see stuff that she really has enjoyed for a long time, and get to witness it from the audience, and to watch a Nutcracker performance with her, and she's like, I did that and I performed that part, and it's just really fun to be able to appreciate those things from both sides of the stage. And I think I just love the fact that people create art for us. I mean, for themselves, of course, right? You wouldn't make art unless it felt good to make the art. Even if it hurts, it still feels good to make the art, right?
Sure.
But like that people just do those things for us. So to go and appreciate and get to see those things and share that with her is like, it's the best. It really is.
Yeah. Same.
So you're teaching, and then I know at some point you stopped teaching and you went into the restaurant business.
Yeah, we had these
we
things.
started having children's babies.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
yes.
I feel like I've seen them.
You've seen them
Grow up, yeah.
Grow up.
Yeah,
Before my eyes.
pass like now actually pass me up like they're
both taller than Kari.
Wow.
But yeah, I took time when Riley was born, and around the same time, my mom ruptured her Achilles tendon, and she was teaching. She taught first grade.
30 years.
30 something years. Yeah. Anyway, ruptured her Achilles tendon, retired, and moved up here because we were like, well, if you're retiring, you want to come help take care of Riley, when we go back to work and everything. Yes, and it was also about being near the best surgeon, for this whole thing. Anyway, she moved up here, and after her surgery that would have been January of 2011, we found out like the following month that we were pregnant with the trip, and then I didn't go back to work, and
I didn't last much
and
longer.
he didn't last much longer because he was also coaching lacrosse at the time.
Right. So I was gone.
So he was, he had, the
12 hours a
8
day.
to 3 job, and then the 4 to 8 job.
Wow.
And that was really wearing on him as a new dad, and kind of missing all of these, or felt like he was missing all these moments. So then stepping away made sense. And then somewhere in the middle of all of that, or after the children were born, again, music was central to everything. We stumbled. Actually, no. You know what? We have to give proper recognition to one Pat Dutcher.
Oh, yeah.
Because he put out, this is a boarding school buddy of John's from high school. Pat put out on social media just an all call. Does anybody want to go? There's this festival called Bonnaroo. Does anybody want to go? And John just was like, hey, there's this festival called Bonnaroo. What do you think? And the kids
Fish had just gotten back together.
So this was 2012, right? So the kids were like 2 and 1-ish, whatever, where they're like 16 months apart. Anyway, and I was like, sure, whatever. And this is right. It goes down in Tennessee, not Chattanooga, Manchester, Tennessee. And so we do the tickets, and for all of the crazy. We were really young. I mean, this was like, in 2012? I don't do math so good.
We were younger, for sure.
12 years ago?
We were definitely younger.
So we rent an RV to drive to Manchester, Tennessee.
It seemed logical at the time.
It seemed so logical, right? We're not going to camp. We didn't do weren't going to tent camp.
No, we heard the horror stories from friends.
Yeah, let's not do that. So we, oh my God, I feel like I've been talking a really long time. You should take over and tell the story of how we got to Bonnaroo. Because
it's not like an epic saga.
It was a little, at the time, it was epic.
Yeah,
it really was.
Me being a second or third time RV renter, never checked the interior tires. Checked all the tires that I could see, but didn't check the interior tires on the rear axle, which were both baby butt bald, turns out. And one of them blew about 90 miles out of Dallas.
75 miles.
75 miles out of Dallas.
It was 75 miles outside of
between
Dallas.
Jersey walls with like an oversized load passing us, and it just like ripped all kinds of stuff underneath the RV, and the tire was shredded, and get over to the side of the road, call for help, and long story short, 6 hours later, and we learned that it's legal to drink in an RV behind the driver's seat. So Kari was back there just about 4 beers deep.
Yeah, like cracked the 4th beer.
By the time this guy finally shows up 6 hours later.
6 hours later.
Which also happens to coincide with a monsoon level, like,
the bottom literally
straight
drops
line
out
wind
as soon as he
storm.
steps out the door.
Yeah, the second this guy gets there, and I'm like, well, I'm glad we have someone here to help us.
Right.
I wish they'd sent him from Dallas instead of south of I-20 or wherever the guy came from. Yeah, it was a really fun experience. We got to Bonnaroo about 12 hours later than I think we were planning on. Had a great time.
He's one of these
but it was one of these, like, I really wanted to go because, like I said, Fish had just gotten back together. I saw them plenty before they broke up, took time off, I should say. And before Trey got better, that was kind of the big thing. It's like I stopped liking Fish because of some of the shows that I had seen where I was just really disappointed with how just sloppy, not loose, just like it wasn't. Yeah, it didn't look like they were having fun. I wasn't having fun.
Right.
I've always said the fun starts on the stage and it goes to the back of the crowd, right? So if the people on stage aren't having a good time, man, you really are just kind of shooting in the dark at that point. Like you're up against all odds. Anyway, it was that year that Fish was playing, and I was excited to see them, especially in such a setting like that with 80,000 people. She'd never seen them before. She'd never seen Glow Stick Wars. She'd never seen, what seems like a super unruly crowd that's actually just really pretty friendly and fun to be around. Mm-hmm. So that was a blast, and I think she enjoyed it so much that, like, on the drive home, she'd been silent for like 45 minutes since we left the festival grounds, which isn't uncommon with festival blues, but I was like, I'm bored, you have to talk to me. Right? It's a long drive. She's like, hang on, I'm almost done. Done with what? And she's, I'm almost done. And then she says, okay, there. We're going to see Fish in Colorado at the end of the summer.
For your birthday.
For my birthday.
It was over his birthday weekend.
And it was like, it was really cool.
And it was Fish Sticks, which is still a thing in Commerce City.
Nice.
At the Dick's Sporting Pavilion.
So
it was a blast.
It won you over, basically.
I was hooked. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
It was just so much fun. I mean, the festival in general was amazing. And I will say, again, in 2012, it was 80,000 people.
Well run.
Very well run. It was all amazing, and then to see Fish on top of that, and there were other amazing acts.
Oh yeah, we saw so many great acts.
Oh my, I can't. Yeah. I mean, it's just
too
crazy.
many to list. But I'm a nerd, so I'll take the lineup as soon as the full lineup is out day by day. I'll print that out, and then if there's anybody anybody that I definitely want to see, they get gold star automatically. Like, gotta see this show. But then I'll go preview everything else just to see what's there that I don't know about. And we found some really great bands like that. That's how we found ALO with that little backstage. And shout out to Annabelle for all the hard work that she does to curate that stage at Bonnaroo to introduce us to cool acts like that.
Who also does Jam Cruise.
And she curates Jam Cruise. So she's
I want to be her BFF.
I would just love for her to say, and if you're going to Texas, maybe go check out Art Co. But we've got similar taste in music, which is obvious, and that's a great thing about a festival too. When you see a lineup that you enjoy, and you go to those places, you are literally surrounded by people who are like-minded right off the bat. They like the same stuff. You're all there for that same reason. So it lends to a lot of really cool experiences that I don't think you necessarily get just day to day out there in this great big wild world. Where a friendship can start, a 20-year friendship can start with, hey, that's a cool hat, or I really like the pin you're wearing, or whatever.
I'm still friends with a lot of people I park next to you in a show.
Yep. And we still have, friends that we keep track of that we've met across the country at festivals like Lock-In and, the crazy adventures to go see fish in Colorado and all over the place.
So you now we're in this period of time where you guys are like big concert goers, and everything you've mentioned is outside of Dallas.
Oh yeah, I mean we were seeing shows here all the time as well.
Okay, so there was stuff
for
going
sure
on here too. Okay,
For
Oh
sure.
gosh,
every there just didn't there weren't many festivals going on around here. There still really aren't a lot of like Dallas festivals that we would go to see Homegrown, to go see the stuff that was going on downtown whenever there was something going on there. In most cases, we didn't even know what was going on. Just go to check it out, listen to the bands, and go see what was what. We've always been. I mean, I've been going to see shows my whole life, and my friends do as well, which kind of helps the. It helps fan the flames, because we're always being told about new stuff from our friends and turning our friends on to new things as well.
Yeah, and then this kind of lends itself to what's now the Facebook group Dallas Jamily, but that didn't start as that, right? How did that start?
That started as
Where
an
it's
email.
at.
Yeah, it started as an email list. Just sharing with friends, like, hey, here's what we're thinking about going to see. Anything you want to add to the list? And it just became a pain in the butt to try and share information like that. So I made like a private group and just invited those people to it, and still got some pushback, because some people are like, well, I'm not on Facebook, but my wife is, so I'll go look every once in a while. So, it's only so useful for those folks. Yeah. And as much as I don't like Facebook, it's still a useful tool in those public group settings. So at one point, someone's like, hey man, I want to add this person. Well, you just, instead of making it like just a private group, well, you make it private with invite, and so we've opened it up, and there's like 3,000 something people in there.
Yeah,
and multiple groups across
Yeah.
the nation.
Yeah, there's some Jamily groups,
There's
and there's
Jamily
similar
Austin.
groups like that kind of all over the place. It'd be great to link them all together at some point and have kind of a database of like community voice, really, because that's usually how we find out about great restaurants or great bands. It's word of mouth kind of thing, where somebody just recommends it, and you're like, oh well, they like it. I know that I like a lot of the stuff they do. So check it out.
No, the group is really helpful to a lot of people that I know when they move here, especially if they're into similar music. And you don't have to be a deadhead, like, per se, there's a million bands in that spectrum. Maybe not a million, but a lot. I know people that just were like, they're new to town, like, I don't know what, this group, there's too much to do, so it's been cool. So then did that somehow give you guys the idea that like maybe we should start doing this ourselves? Like, we like show so much, let's maybe we can do this. Like, how did that come about?
No, we always said like the festival blues, on Sunday it really sucks. Going home, leaving all that behind. It'd be cool if there was something like that just never went away. How do you make a festival that never ends? And that's still impossible as far as we've.
Which people argue makes it not so special. What's special about it if it's there all the time?
Right. But that was always something we just kind of kicked around, joked around with that idea, and we got involved with the restaurant project years ago. And in that process, somebody said, hey, you should go look at this place in Deep Ellum. It might be a good spot for this restaurant concept. And I didn't recognize the address, but pulling up, saw that it was the Art Co building, which has said Art Co for the last 40 years, 35, 40 years, something like that, with nothing going on in that building. Because it was Parts Co, and then letters were peeled off.
And part of the backdrop for Bottle Rocket.
Yeah.
Which if you're a Dallas site.
Bottle Rocket. It's in the background.
It's in the
all
backdrop.
The butcher paper covering the windows.
They're walking down Murray Street, north up Murray Street, and you can see it in the background.
Yeah. It's in the first 5 minutes of the film. Anyway, it's the Art Co building. And I've driven past it millions of times and wondered what's the Art Co building? And just looking around the space, I'm like, there's no way I would ever do a restaurant here, ever. It's just because of the location, the size, and everything like that. Mm-hmm. But, I went ahead and looked around and checked out the space inside and outside, and the backyard needed a lot of imagination. It still needs imagination. That's the best part of it. It's not done. I don't know if the inside space will ever really be done. But it just... it didn't want to be a restaurant in my mind. Kind of painted the picture of what I thought would be cool in the space to the people that owned it. And they called us like a week later. We're driving out of town. Said, hey, we want to do that thing you were talking about. And I was like, oh, okay, well, let me talk it over with my wife, and we'll get back to you and see what that looks like. And resulted in us buying into ownership of the properties, which for better or worse sold last year. We still leased the space, still have a lease on it for the next 9 years or so, 10 years or so. But that was a pivotal moment, really. It was like, if this opportunity is here, is this something we really do want to do? Do we want to try this out, see how it goes? And
so that would have been what, 26?
That was 2015.
15, yeah.
Because we started working on it like then. We started working on it that was January of 2015. That's when we started like really getting into it. And it wasn't until like September of 2017 that we were actually able to open after 6 months plus of delays. We had a really awesome spring lined up that year, the 2017 year. We had some really good shows lined up, and we just had to start making those calls like, hey, by the way, we're looking at like December, maybe, I don't know, for some of this stuff. So that was disappointing to have those types of delays that are just avoidable in our eyes. It wasn't like we were waiting on anything other than a rubber stamp.
Yeah.
Something silly like that.
Sure.
I was just to back up in between that time period. So we went to Bonnaroo 2012, and then before we bought the property in 2015, we returned to Bonnaroo the following year because the lineup was amazing. I don't remember what, like, it's all running together now. But Paul McCartney. Yes. And I was, anyway, it's kind of a no-brainer with multiple other equally intriguing headliners. So we went back, but this time, no, we just drove the car to Tennessee and rented an RV in Tennessee, right? Or no, maybe we did that, whatever. Yeah, anyway, but we didn't, it wasn't a whole epic thing trying to return, which was,
right,
that whole live and learn thing. But anyway, and then from there, we just...
That summer we did a lot.
We did multiple festivals across the nation, and all that to say that market research, so to speak, not really knowing, that Art Co was on the horizon, but like each of these festivals shaped Electric Forest. Oh man, Electric Forest, multiple Wakaroosas, 2 Bonnaroos, and then, multiple festivals in between. Lock-In, we did 7 years of Lock-In. And just all of these festivals really shaped, like things that we loved about just festivals in the community. It attracted musically, cult food, just art food, all of it,
Okay, like the part that we haven't really talked about with Art Co is it's art as well. Like there's the art wall. Shameless promotion. I'm doing a show this week coming up. It's going to be up for 2 months.
Yes.
I'm pretty excited about it actually. But like I know it was Art Co, but like, I guess the festivals had art and music and this and that.
Yeah.
But still it's an effort to keep that going. So like what was the drive with that to begin with?
Just honor the neighborhood, the building as it stood for so long. Just bring all the things that we loved about festivals to one space where we could have food trucks hooked up and artists in the backyard vending and, fire performers at certain events.
Live art, live painting.
Yeah.
Our space lends to things that you can't do in a traditional venue setting, I think.
Yeah.
And having a gallery wall is extra work. It requires that we curate the art and the audiences as well. Mm-hmm. Having an audience in there that's wanting to throw stuff or push people around doesn't really jive with having a $5,000 piece of art hanging on the wall, because if somebody's elbow goes through it, it's ours. You know, that's
Yeah.
I mean, our insurance will help some, but in most cases we don't even want to call them because that just raises the premium.
Sure.
So I mean, it does add extra wrinkles to the whole process, and it takes away some square footage too that, you know, we could be putting people in there, but we just feel like that's still such a worthwhile thing to have in our space. It promotes local artists. It gives, you know, the person that buys something at one of our shows a tangible takeaway from that experience.
A memento.
Yeah, and you know, the piece that's hanging on your wall that you got at that show or that festival, and Kari and I have several of those around the house.
Yep.
Yeah, they remind us of that experience. They remind us of that person, the story that goes behind it, and that's, you know, those are the little pieces of a concert experience that you just can't describe or package up in any other way. That's why we like music so much. When there's so many moments that are just, especially in a jam crew setting, where it happens like that one time and it never happens like that again. And I know that like makes a lot of people who are live music fans kind of squeamish, because they're like, well, I want to hear the songs that I want them to play, you know? And yes, I do too, but I also love it when a band takes that song and turns it on its ear, or mashes it up with something
There's something
else.
magical about
Yeah.
spontaneity
Yeah.
and collaboration.
And I think it's more true to the human spirit than a scripted every single time, every single day. It's the same way,
Right.
you know, because I mean, even if that is your life, you know, even if you do the same thing every day, there's still variables that are just well beyond our control, and things that will impact your day-to-day course, that no matter how methodical you are about a routine, it's never a routine. There's always something. There's always a monkey wrench. There's always a, you know.
I used to feel like in production world, when you're trying to do a TV show, or like every day, it's always like, we know something's going to go wrong. The question is, how are we going to get through it? Every day, every minute of every day. And maybe that's life. I don't know, but.
And will it please happen before we start?
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Please. Whatever it is, please just happen now.
Yeah.
Whatever fire it is, so we can put it out and then have the show.
And the show will
because
go
when
on.
it's happening in the middle of it, it's like, well,
Yeah. Can't do a lot to
we're
change
stuck now.
So, I mean, so the thing that strikes me, because now that I've been, you know, like concerts are like kind of my life, and I've been to every genre. I've been to lots of bands that I don't care for, and the crowds that are not like like, you know, I'll go to shows where I don't know anybody. Seems like there's concert goers and there's not. I mean, there's probably some gray area, but it's kind of black and white, I feel like, in a lot of ways, with the exception of the tributes or something, or like if Taylor Swift comes and like that's the one show that you're going to see that year or whatever. Is there any way to bring some of those other people over to our side? You know, like that's like, I guess that's the question on everyone's mind right now in the scene, but.
I think it has everything to do with connection to the music. You know, if there's something that you're really into, sharing that with them, you know, what's funny is I've actually very recently heard multiple people say, you know what, it was for one of our openers. They came for, you know, the headliner, but weren't sure about the opener. And instead of previewing the opener, they were like, I just want to go in, you know, blank slate. And that this live experience, you know, after they have the live experience, they were hooked, and they go in and listen, you know, start going down the rabbit hole of their catalogs. And then you have, you know, other people who will preview it, right? And then based on the preview, they'll decide whether they want to do the live experience or not.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about bringing people over to our side, I think it just is about connection. If it's something that you're already connected with, and you say, this is so my jam right now, and it made me think of you, that you might enjoy this, you know, sharing that with them, and then, you know, they're coming to town, or, you know, I don't know when they're coming to town, but when they do, if you're into this, I'd love to bring you with me or whatever.
Like we were talking about earlier on, you find out about great restaurants from your friends. You find out about a great book from your friends. You find out about great music from your friends in most cases. And sometimes it's a casual acquaintance, right? But sharing that stuff, there's something you are excited about, sharing it. That's how you get those people who weren't going to come to at least come check it out. Inviting, I mean, the older we get, I feel like we know fewer people who are not, going out to see shows. But we still go back and invite the people who we haven't seen out in the show in a while. Definitely feels like there are those people who go out and see that one show a year, that one big stadium show or whatever that's going to cost them $300 or $400 for a ticket or more. But you can have way more fun if you just take that $300 or $400 and divide it up across a dozen shows that year. And you'll get to see some stuff that may show up in a stadium at some point. We hosted a few that have just gone absolutely crazy, having Oliver Tree at our place and seeing how big he's getting, having Billy Strings go from Art Co to Factory to Toyota Music Factory.
Yeah.
That's an insane stair step. He just did 3 nights in New Orleans when we were there at a pretty big venue there. So it's just cool to see that type of stuff in a small setting where it might happen like that once. You might get lucky and be in that right place, the right time, and get to see that show before that artist is, before you're paying $300-$400 to go see them in a big venue.
Yeah, I mean, that to me, like, if I'm trying to convince somebody to go to like an Art Co or some venue that's not American Airlines, it's that you cannot connect to the artist in the same way when you're in a stadium. Even if you're in the front row, you're still like 15 to 20 feet away from them, and they're up on this high stage. It's like when you're at Art Co or you're at maybe Sundown or somewhere, or Three Links, you're like right in it. And like any emotion that they're feeling, you potentially could get some of that in your face. And I just don't get why. I get it. Some people are afraid of real life or just stuff in their face like that. But
sure.
I mean, ultimately, it's like I don't get why people don't do it all the time, personally.
Yeah.
But what else? Anything cool like that coming up that we don't know about, or
Oh, lots of stuff. I mean, we can't tell everything.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a February show hasn't been announced yet. It's people are going to be excited about that one.
Yeah, we have lots of stuff that we we don't have on our website quite yet.
Yeah, Pre-Kindle is full of stuff that's not published yet. So the shell is there, ready to go, ready to launch. Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I mean, hey, I don't know. Is there anything else that we missed that you want to talk about?
Go support local live music.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like.
Lots of live music in 2024.
Friends that are in a band, go see them. If you get invited to a show, don't say no.
Yeah.
Say maybe. at the very least, say maybe. Give it a thought. Listen to the music. Yeah. Or just go blind, like Kari was saying. That's always fun. Go show up and see something you've never.
And I would encourage travel for music, right? Like if there's
even if that's from Plano or Fort Worth or Denton.
He's not wrong, but make a staycation out of something, or if you're in a place and you've got some vacation time and you want to travel somewhere, let music lead you. Think about. Find an artist that you're into, look at where they're playing in a city that sounds fun that maybe you've never been to, or, of course, New Orleans is always at the top of our list, but combine that with your travel, kind of let that lead you. That's always fun. Never been disappointed when we've done that.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, well, thanks again for having me over and for being on. And we are going to obviously always be looking to see what's happening at Art Co. So thanks
and
again.
Come to Andrew's show.
Yeah, come
Tuesday
check out
the
the
9th.
Art Show.
Well, this will air on Deep Ellum Radio before that, but then it'll be up for 2 months, the show. So when you're listening to
Sure,
this,
yes. The show, Andrew's photography exhibit, will be up through the end of February, really until the next show hangs the first week of March. So we really have until then.
Cool.
But yeah, if you don't get to come out for the opening reception on January 9th, definitely come check out his artwork along with Mike Brooks and Vera Hernandez.
Vicious Velma.
And Velma. Yeah,
well, that's her nickname.
I was going to say,
she's
she's got so many. Vicious Velma. I'm so obsessed with that. I cannot wait to meet her in person. And then Carly
Gravely,
Madison Rainey. Yes, I'm so glad she's added to the lineup now. I'm so excited to have some killer concert photography on the wall.
Other than Mike, it's and me, it's a lot of first time art, like people that haven't
have never participated in gallery shows before,
Madison
which is huge.
was
That is
asking me all kinds of basic
that's my
questions.
jam.
Yeah,
That is my
me
jam.
too.
And a testament to you. I'm so grateful that you're bringing in these new to Art Co artists, because we don't get to grow without, embracing new artists. And as much as we love, repeat offenders, as we like to say, it's always, the new and fun and fresh artists that just keep us excited about, keeping going and keeping the thing.
And I should take a second to say that you guys definitely helped me get like my photo career going. Partially, but firing me from open mic was probably the best firing I've ever had.
I don't like talking about that's the I will say that's the worst part of being a business owner. I will say it sucks the worst. And those of you who
No, it worked out for I started taking photos that was my first real regular photo gig, and it's kind of blown up. So I've always be appreciative of that. So
I mean, to be clear, the open mic position but the full-time concert photographer position was filled immediately.
Yes, we reassigned.
Right. You were
it was a reassignment.
You were the right personnel in the wrong position.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that open mic was great, and it ran its course.
It did. And there were lots of good things to come out of it. Unfortunately, if you're in the business or if you are a fan of open mics, they require, it's a lot of work.
Oh my gosh.
And we were doing them for free, and it was just a rough.
We're doing them for a loss, which is worse than
Okay.
doing them for free.
Yeah.
He's right. He's right. Okay.
Which
I stand corrected.
when everything else is going great, that doesn't hurt so bad. When things aren't going great, it's untenable. You can't keep that kind of.
I mean, and this is like kind of speaks to a bigger thing. It's like, would be so awesome to just have open mic and let all these musicians get a shot, but it's a business. And it's the same thing with you got to listen to my band. We're great. Yeah. Get yourself together, get some kind of, get your shit together.
Open mics require, production as well. It's all the doors have to open. Somebody's got to be behind the bar.
I felt like the hosting was like 5%, but the stage managing of like herding the cats.
Yes.
But anyway, it was a great experience.
All that to say that we have loved watching your career, like from the beginning. That has been such a treat. And again, like I said,
I brag on you all the time,
putting,
I appreciate that.
creating the stage and the space for, people to do their thing has really been the biggest blessing and the biggest reward. So, and you are one of the success stories, just one of the many success stories. And the one that, you're still here. And you keep, the truth is we're grateful because you keep us, in the mix when you're getting these invitations to do, all the big stuff that rolls through town. Mm-hmm. So, which is always fun.
Thanks again. It was fun. It was all over the place, but that's kind of how these go. So
happy we could
true
provide.
to LaRue style, I think.
I hope the cats are audibly.
Yes,
and
hopefully,
surely,
hopefully
you're going to definitely hear. She's really loud,
making all of her sounds.
Thank you so much, Andrew.
All right,
we appreciate you.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank my guests, John and Kari LaRue. You can check out all the things going on at Deep Ellum Art Company at deepellumart.co. Theme song, Unstoppable by Celine Narala. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, follow, all the good stuff, and share it with your friends. We'll see you next time.